It's no secret that when it comes to the most dangerous jobs in the world, they are disproportionately populated by men. And furthermore, when it comes to deaths in the workplace, this is statistically a vast majority male also. Depending on where you look for these statistics, you can see that workplace deaths are 90%, 95%, some even estimate it to be higher than that when you throw in things like military service. But why are men taking on these dangerous jobs when they don't necessarily want to? Why are they choosing to risk their own lives? And can we really do anything about it? That's what I want to talk about in this video today. So this is something that I see gets brought up a lot by men's rights activists. And as always, men's rights activists are bloody brilliant at pointing out issues that disproportionately affect men. I cannot fault them in that. They are excellent at it. What they're really, really shit at, though, is talking about solutions, because what I'll see on MRA videos and forums and subreddits is that somebody will bring up the statistic that men work the majority of the dangerous jobs and men are the majority of workplace deaths, and then they'll say that women and feminists are hypocrites for not wanting to go into these roles, and if they want true equality, that these roles should be split up 50-50. And I think this is a mistake for a whole lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that I don't think that we should look at this as a men versus women issue. Having more women in these jobs would not make the jobs less dangerous. I do not kind of care what you think about them. These workplaces that are dangerous, they would not give any more of a shit if it was a woman out on the fishing boats rather than a man. I can fairly guarantee that. These are businesses that do not care about human life so much as they care about profit over everything, and if some people have to die so that they can skyrocket their profits that year and hit their infinite growth cycle, they're gonna let people die, and it doesn't matter what parts you have. Saying that women don't want to do these dangerous jobs is an example of hypocrisy. I disagree with this, because you're saying that men shouldn't have to do these dangerous jobs because they're dangerous. Why is it then hypocritical if women don't want to do these jobs? But we'll get more into that, because we have to talk about what the issue is and we have to talk about these solutions, because I care about men's issues. I might not call myself a men's rights activist, but I agree with them on almost everything when it comes to problems. We just disagree on causes and solutions. So let's jump into this article and talk a little bit about why men do work the most dangerous jobs, why they die in these jobs, and then we can get on to solutions in just a few minutes. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the 4 most dangerous occupations in the US in 2019 were fishing and hunting, logging, piloting a small plane or helicopter, and roofing. The fatality rate for fishing and hunting was an astonishing 145 deaths per 100,000 workers. For roofing, it was 54 per 100,000. And these are, of course, far higher than the overall workplace fatalities figure kind of across all workplaces, which stands at about 3.5 out of every 100,000. And of course, it's not a surprise that of the individuals who work in the 4 most dangerous jobs, more than 90% are men, which consequently means that the majority of deaths in these workplaces are men. In 2017, for example, 4,761 men were killed at their workplace compared to just 386 women. The fatality rate for men was 5.7 deaths per 100,000, which was nearly 10 times greater than the fatality rate for women, 0.6 per 100,000. The article then starts to get into some of the reasons why men do the most dangerous jobs. One possibility is that because men are socialized to believe they should be the primary breadwinner in the family, they are willing to do the most dangerous jobs because these jobs are highly paid. The viability of this explanation fizzles when we learn that the most dangerous jobs aren't even close to being the best paid jobs. In 2018, the average salary for logging workers was $41,230. For roofers, it was $42,100. So typically when we we ask why are men going into these jobs, a lot of the times we'll think, well, it must just be because they are higher paid. But that sadly is not the case. These jobs aren't paid that much higher than what a office worker's salary might be. So what is driving men to work these dangerous jobs then? Another possibility, the article says, is that men choose to work as hunters, loggers, fishermen, pilots and roofers because they enjoy working outside. Now this has some merit, but there's very little chance that this actually accounts for all of it. After all, what proportion of people enjoy the jobs that they do? And also, I can't imagine that there are that many more men than women who enjoy working outside. We all like getting out into nature, I think. And I've never seen any data to support that men like being outdoors any more than women do. A third possibility is that both men and women want to work high-risk jobs, but employees routinely reject women's applications. The author of this article thinks that that seems unlikely. I think that it's possible, but I don't think it could really account for all of the kind of disproportionate amount of men that do work in these jobs. I'm sure that it is a part of it as much as all the other explanations so far have been a part of it. If you know what people think about women drivers, you can only imagine what they think about women pilots or women helicopter pilots. So I'm sure that it has at least a small role to play in it. A fourth possibility is that men are motivated to take these dangerous jobs because they want to prove themselves and to others that they are real men. If we get into the kind of evo-psych explanations of this phenomenon, we start to think about general fitness for the jobs that we're talking about here. When it comes to jobs like roofing or fishing or logging, these are jobs that are very physical. On average, men tend to be stronger than women, so that could account for probably a significant reason why men go into these jobs more often. The article goes on to talk a little bit about how natural selection might favour men who take risks more, or it might favour cultural groups that keep girls and women safe. And to me, that explanation would probably make a little bit more sense in less developed countries. It would have made a lot more sense maybe couple hundred years ago, but I don't really see that being the case now, which isn't to say that it doesn't account for it, because our evolution, our biology, our neurology, the way that our brains and bodies are structured does play a role in these things. I just don't think it plays the majority role. When it comes to problems like this that exist in society, I personally always am going to fall closer to the sociological or the socio-cultural explanation rather than the evolutionary or the biological. And there's a good reason for that. It's not because I am a blue-haired SJW that thinks that sociology kind of outranks everything. I don't think that. I do know that evolution and biology play roles, even significant roles, in these societal issues. The reason I tend to kind of skew my solutions towards the sociological or the socio-cultural, and the reason I think you should as well, is because society and culture is something that we can change. Evolution and biology is something that is somewhat hardwired into us, and whilst it can be overcome, those pathways will still exist, whereas we can address socio-cultural issues through any number of things, from regulations and laws to the type of media that we produce as a society. And when we have addressed these issues socio-culturally, if they still exist after that, then we look at the evolutionary or biological side of things. That can account for whatever's left, but we can only change what we can change. And oftentimes I find that leaning back on evolutionary science or biology is a little bit of a cop-out from finding an actual solution to a problem. If you can see a problem and then just say, well, that's just the way that we are, then nothing's really going to change. And if you genuinely care about this issue, you should be wanting to do everything you can to change it. To me, one of the most likely causes of this is the way that we socialize boys and young men to do the more dangerous things, to be more risk-taking, and that in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. You need risk takers, you need people to take on dangers in the world. It's how we've survived for millions of years, and it is how we will continue to survive. You need people who take risks. But generally speaking, we don't socialize girls and young women in the same way that we socialize boys and young men, and that is, for me, a pretty significant reason why you will see disparities in these things. I was actually surprised to find out that these jobs didn't pay nearly as well as I thought that they did, which shouldn't really have come as a surprise to me because my older brother is a carpenter. He works on roofs all the time, and he is not hugely well paid either. Men's rights activists and people generally in the manosphere will talk about things like male disposability, and this is a concept that I have a lot of time for because I think that we do socialize boys and young men to view themselves as disposable, that they are the ones that it's their duty to take risks, it's their duty to do the more dangerous things. And that made sense when we were in survival scenarios, because then you had issues of disproportionate fitness to do certain roles. But we are not in survival situations anymore. We're kind of a post-survivalist society, at least in the Western world. So what do we actually do about this? Well, obviously my utopian solution would be to make it so that men don't really have to work these dangerous jobs. I'm sure that there is a technological solution for this. Bring on the days when we can send androids to do all the fishing and the logging and the roofing and the building for us. But obviously with kind of technocratic solutions come other problems, such as men being put out of jobs, and for that we could implement a form of UBI. But like I said, this is my utopian solution. Let's talk about actual solutions. I think the main thing that we can do first and foremost is stop talking about the hypocrisy of why women don't want to do these dangerous jobs when men might not necessarily want to do them either, but feel pressured into doing them. I think that we should be pushing towards legislation and regulation around these more dangerous industries to make them as safe as they possibly can be. And whilst I think it's good to encourage boys and men to take risks and to not be afraid to face danger, I don't think that we should be encouraging them to take risks and face danger frivolously. This is a difficult issue to talk about because there doesn't seem to be something that we can do immediately right now to stop this from happening. But I genuinely think that the most helpful thing that we can do as people who care about men's issues, whether you're a men's rights activist or whether you're a men's liberationist, I think the thing that we should be doing is stop focusing on counterproductive tribalism, blaming feminism or blaming toxic masculinity or blaming men or blaming women, or none of it helps. We need to focus on actually addressing the issue and trying to find creative solutions to this problem. I'd love to hear what your solutions would be in the comment section down below, or if you disagree with me, if you agree, let me know. I want to have this conversation. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.